Hey guys, welcome back to the channel, and today we're going to be reacting to US medical bills. Now, for those of you that haven't seen the welcome to the channel video, in July 2022 I was diagnosed with chronic myeloid leukemia. On top of that, at the time I also happened to have COVID, and then a combination of the two sort of ganged up on me and ended up starving my brain of oxygen. Because of this, I was then led to have multiple seizures, which led to me now having multiple fractures in my spine. At the time of recording, I still have those fractures, and I still have the leukemia. That's going to be something that's going to stay with me for the rest of my life. I'm going to be on treatment for the rest of my life to make sure that I can have a full and enjoyable life. Not to bring anyone down, but because of that, it got me thinking, US medical bills, how much are they really? We all know that US medical bills can be quite expensive, but how deep does that rabbit hole go? How expensive are those bills? So with the reaction, it's to try and establish, would I still be here without the NHS? The NHS may have very well saved my life, because I'm not financially strong. I'm in no position to afford hefty medical bills. So the NHS ended up being a blessing for me because of all these things that I went through during July 2022. So we're going to take a look at this video now. For those of you that are new to the channel, you know what to do, and we're going to get into it.
But if there's one country in the world that's very notorious for being very unaffordable when it comes to healthcare, like if you don't have insurance, you're basically f***ed, is the United States of America.
Absolutely.
So today we'll be playing an interesting game of guessing American medical bills. Now these are real medical bills from real American hospitals. These were made for us by someone, and I'll be doing that with my good friend Dr. Kiran Mojaria, who's a GP trainee here in the UK, who went to medical school in the UK, who has been working in the NHS for over 3 years now. He also has an amazing channel on YouTube, so make sure you guys check it out after watching this video. So basically the rules of the games are this. So I think there are around 4 to 5 bills, real American bills, and both me and Kiran, we're gonna take a look at it and we're gonna try to guess based on what we think it would cost. I think mine is going to be a bit different because I have worked in private sector in India, so it's still a bit expensive. At least by Indian standards, it's expensive. Kiran has only worked in the NHS. Basically, in NHS, most of the things are free. So I think it's going to be interesting to see how much we both guess these prices as. I know it's going to be bad, but how bad are these bills? Let's see. So bill number 1 is a cesarean section and the cost to hold the baby. In India, in a very good hospital, it would be...
Okay, so obviously I'm never going to have a baby, so this definitely doesn't apply to me. But it'll be interesting to see what sort of costs are incurred on this one. Maybe there will be hospital stays. I did a lot of that during my time in July, so we'll see if there's anything in here that applies to me.
Around 4 lakh rupees if you want like the best hospital with or like VIP suite and all that. I'm thinking it's going to be around $4,000, but I think it's going to be more than that.
I think, it's a surgery, there's an anaesthetist, there's going to be a surgeon, there's the operating theatre. I think it's going to be expensive. Let's go for $800.
It's $3,000, which is not too bad if you ask me. Like, we have Indian hospitals which...
$3,000 to have a baby, essentially. I know it's cesarean section, it's not the normal method of giving childbirth, but $3,000 to have a baby cut out of you, that is outlandish for me. $3,000 to give life to somebody, I can't believe that. That's blown me away. $3,000.
Charge more than this, so I'm not very surprised by this. This is actually pretty decent if you ask me.
$3,100. to have a C-section.
Exactly.
And bear in mind that some C-sections aren't even planned. So this may have been an emergency C-section. So imagine going for a normal delivery and then it being converted to a C-section and then being whacked with a bill of $3,000.
So then skin to skin after.
That is exactly my point. Like, C-sections, to my knowledge, are not generally planned, as he just said. So being hit with the bill for $3,000 out of nowhere, you know, some people can't just pluck that sort of money out of thin air. Where are they going to get that money from? That's outrageous.
After C-section, so basically what skin to skin means is that when the baby is delivered, we put the baby on the mother's belly so that there could be some one bonding and second heat exchange between the mother and to the baby to keep the baby warm basically. So there's a lot of evidence saying that this is a very ideal thing to do, but apparently they charge them for that. I have no idea why. So I don't know how much they charge. I'm guessing around $10, $20 because you shouldn't be charging for this, but let's see.
First of all, I'm surprised that they're charging for this, but I'm going to guess it's going to be very cheap. Let's say $40, $50.
$39.35. I don't know what.
Essentially $40 for holding your child. $40 to hold your child. How? Where do they get off charging $40 to let you hold your child? That's insanity. $40 just to hold your child. Why? Please, if someone knows, please tell me why. $40 to hold your child is... I'm lost for words. I am absolutely... $40 just to hold your child.
Why they're even charging for that? Okay, not very expensive.
$40, okay. Well, I think it's pretty astonishing that they've charged for that anyway, but at least $40 is kind of reasonable. Here, hold your baby, and that'll be $40, please.
Next one, inpatient lactation consultation level 1, because this is going to be like advanced nurse practitioner or like a doctor giving the consultation on how to, breastfeed the baby. I think this is going to be around $100.
For a consultation like this, which is probably just some advice, let's assume they've paid $100.
$61. This is actually quite affordable by American standards, if you ask me. I'm being very honest about it because I think even Indian hospitals, a lot of them charge this much. So I'm not very surprised.
Let's compare this to the costs in the UK. So the C-section would have been free, the skin to skin would have been free, and the lactation consult would have been free as well. Next up, this patient presented with stomach pain to the ED, was given morphine, a PPI, a CT scan, and released 6 hours later. So the
Okay, so for this one, when I went into the hospital with all of my ailments, I did end up having a CT scan, MRI scan. Since then I've had X-rays, another MRI scan. So this one is a bit more relevant to me, but it'll be interesting to see. So they only stayed in there for 6 hours and then were discharged. So no overnight hospital stays, and it's only stomach pains. But that could be quite serious depending on what's causing the stomach pains. So let's see what sort of costs incurred here.
cost for the emergency department visit, let's guess, a couple $100. $3,000!
Whoa! $3,000 for just going into the emergency department. Pharmacy fees.
Okay, I'd be dead. $3,000 just to go into what we would call A&E. That's $3,000, and that's before you've even seen a doctor. At least that's how they make it sound. Anyway, they make it sound like that's before you've even seen a doctor. $3,000.
These are $92, and that's okay, affordable. So ultrasound scan in India it would be around 1,500 rupees. So that's what, like $25.
The ultrasound scan, bear in mind that's just a jelly scan. The actual cost of that is just the cost of the person doing the scan. So let's go for $100. $1,000! To have an ultrasound scan cost $1,000. That's insane. We give them out like sweets here.
So let's see how much it is. It's gonna be expensive.
$1,000 for an ultrasound. How much is an MRI or a CT scan going to be?
$1,000 for an ultrasound. Are they crazy? Like $1,000, like that's 70,000 rupees. Like you could literally get like some 30-40 ultrasounds in India for that cost. This is very expensive. Maybe this is because it involves a radiologist, but even then they shouldn't be charging so much. $1,000 for a ultrasound is crazy.
For the CT scan surely has to be more expensive than the ultrasound scan, which was $1,000. So I'm gonna say $1,500. I just had to read it twice. $6,800 for a
Six. I'm lost for words. For my viewers in America, I'm sorry. I feel sorry for you. I genuinely feel sorry for you that you have to pay these outlandish prices for what could be the right to live. You know, if you get a life-threatening illness and you can't afford this, what do you do? Like, there's no alternatives. You have to pay this, otherwise you'll die. How can they justify charging these sorts of prices?
CT scan.
$6,867. $6,000 for a CAT scan. I think in India it would cost like a maximum of $200, even at a very good facility with very good CT machines. And I think in the UK, here in the UK, it's free because it's done only if you need to do it and the trust pays for it. Basically, the government, the NHS pays for it. It's weird. It's $6,800. Right.
I just can't get my head around the fact that this CT scan was $6,800. I ordered like 5 of them today for free.
Radiology is $445. Maybe a doctor consult, but $445 for a consult is quite a lot. But I think radiology also includes an X-ray, chest X-ray, abdominal X-rays and other X-rays because this guy was in a trauma. So if that was the case, $445 is still not justified, but it's okay. But if it's just the doctor's opinion, $445 is crazy money.
The total for this visit to A&E was $12,500. Imagine having stomach pain.
A 12.5 grand stomach pain. 12.5 grand for stomach pain. I praise the NHS. That's all I can say. Praise the NHS. That's 12.5. If this guy only had stomach pain and he had to pay 12.5 grand, I can't even begin to imagine how much debt I would be in right now. I wouldn't be able to afford even close to that. And I have to go see the doctor regularly to make sure that my chemotherapy's working. This would just be adding on to it, I assume, every time I go and see my doctor. And it's just insane. Absolutely insane that anyone can be expected to pay that. Never mind being charged that, but expecting people to actually have the money available to pay for this. It's mind-boggling. I can't. I'm so shocked. I can't get my head around how they can justify charging this much for any of this. You would think in America that you guys would have free healthcare. Like, relative to a lot of other countries, you're still quite a new country, and it's not beyond the realms of possibility for you guys to have free healthcare. And charging someone this much is insane. Absolutely insane.
Going to ED, having these scans, getting some morphine, getting a PPI, and being discharged with them saying actually it's just gastritis, which doesn't need anything further doing, and then getting a bill for $12,500.
If you don't have insurance and you have a bill like this, it's going to take away like a quarter of your year's salary for just this one day, like some 6-hour visit to the emergency department. And that's crazy. Bill number 3, this patient fell while rock climbing and broke his neck, back and ankle, had 2 operations and a week in a hospital. This guy, I hope he has insurance. So this is from 2016, so fairly recent. Laboratory services, 18,000. Quite a lot, but let's see. Diagnostic therapeutic imaging. This guy has had a lot of fractures. So I think there'll be a lot of x-rays and a lot of CT scans or CAT scans, like the Americans call it, involved, and a lot of ultrasounds involved. So if the labs took 18,000, I'm just taking a wild guess that imaging would have taken like some $25,000 at least. But let's see.
The imaging, so I don't know how much imaging this patient had. We know a CT scan is costing $6,000, so I'm going to go $10,000. It's actually funny how expensive this is.
95,000. So just for imaging, they've charged him $95,000. That's like more than a resident's salary in the US.
Wait. So this guy, so the labs alone is ridiculous. I have to have blood tests regularly. So I assume that would be a repetitive charge for me, with regular blood tests to make sure that my chemotherapy is working. And then, as I said earlier, I've had MRIs, I've had CT scans, X-rays. That is just an unreal, an obscene amount of money. And I personally could never afford that. I never have been able to. I probably never will be able to. So what would happen to me? It's just, I am lost for words. I am genuinely lost for words that they can get away with charging this. But people don't have a choice. They have to pay it, otherwise they'll die, or they'll never have their injuries diagnosed, and they could do more harm than good. You don't have an option. You have to pay this. That's unreal.
Oh god, but just 1 week.
$95,000 for imaging. Did they give this man the MRI machine? I would be disappointed if I went to hospital, paid $95,000 and didn't get the MRI machine to come home with.
This is crazy. Next, pharmacy. Basically all the drugs, all the medicines that they would have used. I'm guessing, because he was in the hospital, he would have had multiple surgeries. So I'm guessing around $10,000, but it's the US, so it's $33,000.
It's just a little $33,000 worth of medication for his 1 week's worth of inpatient stay.
So ICU, he was charged $30,000.
Wow. When I was in hospital, had COVID treatments. I had cancer treatments. I had that much medicine in me that I would have failed a drug test, and you could have probably shook me up and I would have rattled. There was that many pills in me, that much medicine in me. I was on a drip. They topped that up about 4 or 5 times a day. That's unreal. If this guy was only in for a week as well, I spent most of July 2022. So almost a whole month I was in hospital. That's unreal.
Which is okay, because ICU, there's so much happening. You need to pay so many nurses, so many doctors, and there's so many equipments, everything you have to pay for it. So 30,000, even though it's more by American standards, I think that's okay. But then EKG services, so electrocardiogram, ECG, I don't know why they call it EKG, electrocardiogram with a K. But basically, EKG services is basically taking ECGs, and because he was in the ICU, I think a lot of ECGs would have been done. In India, it'll be like some 300 rupees for an ECG, so it's what, like $5 or whatever. But in US healthcare, everything is expensive. So let's see how much they billed him for EKG. $9,000. Like, how many ECGs did they take? Like, how can someone take ECGs for $9,000? And like literally he was probably on like ECG like throughout his whole stay or something. Like, it just doesn't make sense to me. This is weird.
EKGs in the UK we call ECGs, and actually the cost of these shouldn't be much because you just stick some stickers on and then do an ECG. So I'm gonna guess that this was $1,000. $1,000 would be a lot for this. It's just a cheeky $9,000. That's ridiculous.
And then the
I had 3 of these, so $9,000 each, and I had 3 of them. Madness. I mean, we could probably get a low ballpark figure of where my medical bills would have come in, but this is... I've never seen anything like this. The amount of money they make. From the money they've made off people up to this day, they could fund an NHS. They could fund a National Health Service off of the money they've made up from today, surely. This is... I genuinely am I've said it a couple of times now, but I am genuinely lost for words as to how much money that these people are being charged. Unbelievable.
Emergency room, because he came into the emergency room, I think they would have charged him for the emergency room services, the doctors, the nurses and all that. So I think based on the previous bill, I would guess around $3,000, $5,000. Let's see. Emergency room, what? 30,000? Dude, what are they gonna do for $30,000? It's like half of a resident's yearly salary in the US. What are they gonna do with $30,000? Again, this is daylight robbery if you ask me. It's no other way to describe this.
The emergency room was just another $30,000. Imagine going to A&E and paying $30,000. I actually can't even get my head around how much that is. I really hope this...
So the first time I was admitted to the hospital, I was referred by the GP. So I went straight. I didn't go into A&E. I went straight in. That's when they did the blood tests to find the leukemia. But I had 2 more visits to hospital after that in that month. Both of which I was taken in by ambulance. So I would have gone through A&E, and that's another 60 grand. That's another 60 grand. On top of everything else already. It's unreal. It is unreal.
This patient had insurance. The surgery cost, if the scans are that much, the surgery has to be way more. So I'm gonna go $50,000.
Again, this guy was in surgery, 2 surgeries. So that would have been a lot of money, and following the theme, I'm gonna guess $100,000 for the surgery. $47,000. Not too bad comparing it to, like how much like imaging and all took. It's weird, right? Like imaging is $95,000 and surgery, which involves so many doctors, specially trained doctors, so many nurses, anesthetists, everything is $47,000. So I think they're, ripping people off in the imaging and diagnostic services, and they're cutting costs in surgery.
So all in for that operation was $50,000 for the surgery and also $16,000 for the anaesthetist, $4,000 for the recovery. So that operation itself cost $70,000.
So the total charges for this guy who broke his neck while rock climbing, I should have been more careful, but it is $367,435.80.
Whoa. $367,000 to break his neck. That's... The average American surely doesn't have this sort of money lying around. Healthcare should be affordable. It's something that we all need. And charging $367,000 for breaking your neck, it's obscene. I mean, where do they get off charging this sort of money? I'm speechless. I am actually speechless. This isn't much of a reaction when the person who's doing the reaction can't speak. Because $367,000 to break your neck and get treated for it. It's insanity. It's unworldly amount of money. Some people only dream of having that kind of money. Most people only dream of having that kind of money available to them. And then to have to spend it on medical bills. It's absolutely outrageous. There's no way anyone can justify this. And if anyone in the comments would like to try and justify it, by all means, please do. Because I'd love to hear your side of the story. If you can even come close to justifying that amount of money for treatment for a broken neck. Or any kind of treatment. $367,000. If I had that kind of money, it wouldn't be going on medical bills, trust me. That is... I cannot believe it. I can't believe...
cents, and that's much more than most junior doctors' net worth. Even a lot of mid-range doctors' net worth in India and even in the UK. Doctors make a lot more in the US, but even then this is a ridiculous sum of money for one accident. 367,000 is like... Someone can literally retire with that kind of money, right?
Can you imagine going to hospital, staying for a week, and being hit with a bill of $367,000? That's going to take decades to pay off if you don't have insurance. In the UK...
He says it's going to take decades to pay off. It'd take my entire lifetime to pay off, and even then I'd still owe them money. It is obscene. It is absolutely obscene.
That would have been free at the point of contact. And finally, we've got another bill which has been blacked out but cost $2.5 million for a hospital.
What? What happened to this person? And how did they charge $2.5 million for a stay in hospital? I'm starting to think this would be my medical bills. $2.5 million. I mean, they say it's been blacked out, so I don't think we're going to find out exactly what happened, but let's see if we do. Hopefully we will.
Hospital stay. Thank we live in the UK.
So there's this other one bill that just says patient responsibility. What patient owes to the hospital is $2,422,772.45. $2.5 million as a hospital bill. I think this would have given the patient another heart attack and he would have passed away after seeing the bill. I hope he hasn't, but I think he has. And this was made by one of Kiran's friends, and it says, "Thank I live in the UK. Yes, thank I'm not in the US. At least when it comes to medical bills." So hope you guys liked it. Make sure you check out Kiran's channel here, and if
What they said. The NHS is the greatest thing on earth. Absolutely the greatest thing on earth. And following this reaction, I genuinely believe without it, I wouldn't be here now doing this reaction. And that's terrifying. Truthfully and honestly, that is terrifying. When I was given my diagnosis and during my multiple stays in hospital during the month of July, I genuinely didn't know what was going to happen to me, and I was scared. I was absolutely terrified, and I'm grateful to be here now. I really am. And following on from those, like knowing those sorts of prices now, following on from what they've just said, I am at a loss for how there's anyone left alive in America. People must be dying every day because they can't afford these medical bills. It's outrageous that they charge this much. It really is. But people can't have the option of saying, "Oh, I'll go somewhere else," or "I'm not pay." You know, they can't all group together and say, "Well, if we don't pay it, they can't charge it," because if you don't pay it, what's going to happen to you? It's unbelievable that they can do that, and I genuinely feel sorry for Americans. And I mean, how many times are you gonna have to remortgage your house just to stay alive? And that's if you even own your own house. It's unbelievable. It is unbelievable that they can do this. And I think I'm just gonna have to end it there. Wow. I've not got words. I have not got any words for what we've just seen, and it's just well. Thanks very much for watching, guys. If you enjoyed the video, you know what to do, and I'll see you next time.